July 5, 2016, FBI Director Comey recommends Clinton not be charged.
Although there is evidence of potential violations of the statutes regarding the handling of classified information, our judgment is that no reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case.
Let's take a close look at Comey's words. No reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case. He said that on July 5th. FBI documents reveal Comey's draft speech was written more than 2 months earlier. In it, he used those same words. No reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case. That was May 2nd. Comey's conclusion was written before FBI interviews with Clinton and others. Government email records show on May 2nd, 2016, Comey sent the draft speech to FBI officials Andrew McCabe, James Baker, and Jim Rybicki. McCabe then sent the draft to Bill Priestap, Peter Strzok, and other FBI officials for their review. This draft, however, didn't become public until late 2017, and when it did, reaction was swift and harsh.
This whole thing just stinks.
Former Representative Jason Chaffetz was incensed. Prior to leaving Congress, he led one of several investigations into how the FBI handled the Clinton email scandal.
The whole idea that the FBI director, weeks before they've interviewed what ended up being 16 or 17 other witnesses, that he was actually drafting this thing.
The whole investigation evidently was just a fraud on the American people, was a faux investigation. You've got James Comey now with emails going back and forth where he's drafting 3 months before they interview 16 witnesses, including the supposed target of the investigation.
Imagine if a judge was drafting the how he was going to rule before he heard 16 people who had come up to the witness stand. That person would be disbarred, they'd be fired.
The facts are, months in advance, he's telegraphing the investigation's a done deal, that it's going through the motions, yet he gets in front of Congress and pretends, or at least makes these representations, that he hadn't made his mind up, when it's clear there's documents showing that he has.
On September 28, 2016, long before we learned of his draft speech, Comey was questioned about the timing of his decision by Congressman John Ratcliffe.
Did you make the decision not to recommend criminal charges relating to classified information before or after Hillary Clinton was interviewed by the FBI on July the 2nd?
After.
Okay, then I'm going to need your help in trying to understand how that's possible.
Congressman Ratcliffe repeatedly pressed Comey about the timing of his decision.
If colleagues of ours believe I am lying about when I made this decision, please urge them to contact me privately so we can have a conversation about this. All I can do is tell you again, the decision was made after that because I didn't know what was going to happen in that interview.
Congressman, he said after. He lied to you.
Well, I want to give him the opportunity to come back and clarify his testimony. What he said very clearly. What I know now is that he had written an exoneration memo before he gave that testimony saying that he wasn't going to charge her. I've seen text messages, I've seen emails, and I have received testimony from other witnesses that are all inconsistent with that testimony that he gave to me under oath.
To date, Comey has not been asked to, as the congressman put it, clarify his testimony. It's a crime if you are grossly negligent when handling classified information. Comey's May 2nd draft speech said Clinton and associates were grossly negligent, but that's not what he announced on July 5th.
There is evidence that they were extremely careless in their handling of very sensitive, highly classified information.
The draft said grossly negligent. The actual speech said extremely careless. Is there a difference?
Gross negligence is extreme carelessness. All he did was fudge the terminology, but the meaning is the same.
The current FBI director, Christopher Wray, was asked for his opinion.
I leave it to others to conclude whether extremely careless and gross negligence are the same thing. But I believe also that almost anybody who grabbed a thesaurus would say that gross negligence and extremely careless are pretty darn close to each other.
You're right, they are synonyms. Extremely careless is a synonym for grossly negligent, which begs the question, why change it? But you and I know why it was changed. It was changed because the statute says grossly negligent. And if you're not going to charge someone, God knows you don't want to track the statute with the language that you used.
Several FBI officials edited Comey's draft. who deleted the term grossly negligent. Senator Ron Johnson, chairman of a key committee, wants to know. He sent this letter to FBI Director Wray. It asks who changed Comey's speech and why. No answer yet.
That investigation into the Clinton email scandal was not really meant to uncover the truth and lead to prosecution. It's really meant to cover up and exonerate.
Now let's consider the word intent with regard to Clinton's actions.
Although we did not find clear evidence that Secretary Clinton or her colleagues intended to violate laws governing the handling of classified information.
2 days later, no intent was also the justification Comey gave at congressional hearings during questioning from a furious former intelligence officer turned congressman.
For me, this is serious. I spent 9.5 years as an undercover officer in the CIA. I was the guy in the back alleys collecting intelligence, passing it to lawmakers. I've seen my friends killed. I've seen assets put themselves in harm's way. And this is about protecting information, the most sensitive information the American government has. So the former Secretary of State, one of the president's most important advisors on foreign policy and national security, had a server in her basement that had information that was collected from our most sensitive assets, and it was not protected by anyone, and that's not a crime? That's outrageous. People are concerned. What does it take for someone to misuse classified information and get in trouble for it?
Oh, it takes mishandling it and criminal intent.
And so an unauthorized server in the basement is not mishandling.
Well, no, there is evidence of mishandling here. This whole investigation at the end focused on, is there sufficient evidence of intent?
If Comey was focused on intent, then he had it all wrong.
Look, we have a statute that says if the government puts into your hands for safekeeping state secrets and you fail to keep them safe by intentionally exposing them or grossly negligently exposing them, you can be prosecuted and you can be found guilty without the government proving intent.
The applicable statute is 18 U.S.C. 793F.
If the director of the FBI thinks that putting a private server in a private home in Chappaqua, New York, with no encryption, with multiple devices working off it with their not encrypted, is not a violation of 793, that's another reason he should resign. It is, to me, this is one of the grossest miscarriages of justice.
Comey didn't see it that way.
Although there is evidence of potential violations of the statutes regarding the handling of classified information, our judgment is that no reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case.
That conclusion is absolutely ludicrous. There were multiple crimes here committed by her. There were certainly crimes committed by lawyers involved in the case, by employees of the Clinton apparatus, the destruction of evidence, the manner in which witnesses were handled. One lawyer representing 3 or 4 witnesses. The Justice Department never permits that, but Comey and the Attorney General allowed it.
We'll have more on how the investigation went wrong in our next segment.